Namaste. In the article titled An Incomplete Social Justice written by Yogendra Yadav under the title of Deshkal, who is the founding member of Swaraj India and also a member and convener of Bharat Jodo Yatra. He is primarily affiliated with Congress and the left ecosystem of the country. Needless to say about that, we will focus on the article. In this, he talks about the need for reservations for SC, STs, OBCs, and Muslims in higher educational institutes. Not only those, but also not that, but private higher education institutes, PHEIs. He has given data of the same that many communities which are marginally represented in PHEIs need to be given more weightage or more representation. He says that 60% of the vacancies or 60% of the slots in higher educational institutions, private higher educational institutions, are occupied by the elite 20% of Hindu castes, and the other marginalized communities are not adequately represented in the private higher education institutions as compared to their share in population. So OBCs, which account for 40 to 50% in the population, are below 20% in PHEIs. Similar cases with SC and SC, ST and Muslims. So he wants to say that the reservation for these people should be given in private higher education institutes as well, and there is no hiccup, no hitch, or it is completely constitutional, because he cited many Supreme Court judgments from 2005 to 2011 to 2014, Union of India versus the other parties. Government of India has also enacted a law in 2006 which said that reservations will apply for SCBC, that is the OBC community, but it was only extended in government funded higher education institutions or government run higher education institutes. But this should also be applied to private higher education institutes, because it is constitutionally binding upon the it is constitutional, it is not against the law. And article 15 clause 5 has clearly mentioned that anything which needs to be done for the upliftment of SC, ST and OBC caste should be done by the state concerned. And this was the main crux of the article, nothing more. But he says that the national education policy may be celebrated, but it has been a continuing policy of the country from the last many decades, the privatization of higher education institutes. So this needs to be stopped. It should be backed by the government, and there needs to be a strong political will. The second largest party in the parliament, that is the Congress, is in support of this. The current BJP government should take the issue in hand and should solve it, because he says that although the government is had previously tried to bridge the gap between the marginalized communities and the so-called upper caste, yet in the private higher education institutes, these upper castes or the so-called forward caste from the Hindu community have gathered their bastion, or they have made it their bastion, and the social distancing has increased even though it was not intended. So to bridge this gap and to give better opportunities to the marginalized communities, it is must that private higher education institutes must also provide reservations for SC, ST communities, and also they should give some specific scholarships to a certain portion of students. Also, he highlighted the placating situation of government funded higher education institutes. We see that many posts are vacant, not enough infrastructure is available. Also, the one which is available is generally very old and is not in a good condition as compared to the private higher educational institutes, where the classrooms are very lavish, the infrastructure is very best, and also due to a greater pay scale and higher wages, the best faculty is there to teach the students, and thus the students learning from private higher education institutions get a better shot at employment. And so, taking into consideration all these things, Yogendra Yadav says that it is high time, and the time is very ripe. The time has come for this idea to get pregnant, and it should be implemented by the government of India. that the reservation for the marginalized communities in higher educational, particularly private higher education institutions, should be done. Thank you.